Hello, everyone.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to the 11 a.m. to 11:30 a.m. session of the 2022 Open Simulator Community Conference. In this session, we are pleased to introduce the presentation Dreamgrid Statistics and New Features. Our speaker is Fred Beckhausen, aka Fayard Fredericks. Fred is the owner and CEO of Micro Technology Services, Inc., a 31-year-old Texas computer design and manufacturing firm. Please check out the website found at conference.opensimulator.org for speaker bios, details of sessions, and the full schedule of events. The session is being live streamed and recorded, so if you have questions or comments during the session, you may send tweets to @OpenSimCC with the hashtag OSCC22. Welcome, everyone. Let's begin the session.
Hello, everyone. Thank you for coming. I'm going to briefly go over the new features that we did the last year and add a couple of very interesting stats and talk about some of the things that are, say, in the works, so to speak. Let's see. Here we go. One of the new things this year is a text-to-speech API, and that works within the GUI as well as in the OpenSim. There's 4 different speech engines on Windows 10 and 11, so that you can fire off any of these, stream it to a media on a prem, do parcel media. You can trigger it by a script. I currently also have some interactive talking paintings using WebGL, which is now working, and a demo running over in Expo 3, which I'll show a map to after the end of this presentation. Another new feature is region gridding. We have hundreds of regions capability now in OpenSim on a single small PC. This allows you to very quickly adjust the grid size and spacing with just a few clicks. This is a 1-space grid set to 50 spaces wide. Another thing is the signs. The typical way you see of traveling around is, going from hyperports, teleports, you walk in and out. Well, that's not going to work when you have 300, 400 regions in a single server. So I built this sign in that automatically updates. It's now been expanded to 64 characters. There's several others as well, and some new sorting options. Something else new is the GDPR TOS, Terms of Service. There's a built-in HTML editor we've had for a while that integrates with the Diva front page. This allows you to bring this box up on their screen when a hypergrid or normal user comes in. They have to click the link, read this, click accept, or they're going to get booted from the system. And I said it's integrated with the Diva TOS. It does not use Apache or PHP, so you don't even have to have those options turned on. Many people do not. The other thing we have is a free SSL automatically renewing certificates for Apache. They automatically renew. We have all the security patches that I can think of, along with what OpenSim has done. You can see anything in this presentation with the asterisk is basically new or updated. There's also an important fix for no res. Turns out that the default in OpenSim when you create a sim is to allow anybody to just destroy your sim. So I've disabled that. And I've also fixed it in OR loads. ORs carry that permission with you. So be careful, guys. If you've got scripts and you've got the res on, you need to turn that off on your sims. And in your sandboxes where you have it on, please just set a reasonable auto return time. Otherwise, you're going to find certain people wandering around. They've hit almost every grid. They even hit this grid here just recently. So if you don't want thousands of little pink floppy objects, I'd suggest you turn that off or use the Dreamgrid. That's kind of crazy, but that's the way it is. So another thing that we've added is a setting in the settings where you can adjust that and turn that on and off. We've got a lot of third-party modules. This is a list of all the different things that have been added recently. You talk about a LAMP stack, a Linux, Apache, MySQL, PHP. We've got Windows, so it's a WAMP stack, Windows, Apache, MySQL, PHP, Perl, and so on and so on and so on stack. That's all up and integrated. So Another thing that's new, I've changed out the third-party modules quite a bit and updated them for partnering. We have a nice partnering system that's built into Dreamgrid. We have integrated backup modules that don't use the OpenSIM's backup system. We have an upgraded destination guide, which I'll mention a little bit more soon. Then there is um, integrated search has been upgraded. The only thing that's still missing is classified ads in the destination guide and search areas. So you've got automatically updating destination guides. It's now been integrated into the viewer in many, many other ways as well. So all these tabs work, but classifieds. It's at outworlds.com/search if you each want to try it manually, and it's open to any grid, not just Dreamgrids, to use. I've also upgraded the dynamic DNS system. This is a free, no registration required DNS for everybody. I've since added, the last few years, I added inworlds.net to the outworlds.net domain because it was available. And I've just recently added dreamgrid.org capability as well. So I'm looking for other domains that we can use to run around. It's free. It doesn't block anything. It's just a way of supporting the infrastructure. So I've got a couple of Contabo servers running full time, as well as the search, which was Hyperica. I've turned off Hyperica. I bought that from Maria Korolov a few years ago, and I've integrated it down to automated all of the functions in it. So I no longer am using that domain. It just redirects to the Outworlds if anybody's wondering about that. Let's see. There's Smart Boot mode. It's been around for a while. It's a very useful mode. It operates like Kitely. It shuts down a region when no one is in it. That means that you don't use any memory or any CPU. This year we really perfected the Smart Suspend. It's a new mode. It doesn't require, like Kitely, to use cloud servers. It runs on any of this Windows box. It's very, very fast. It suspends a system almost instantly. And then if you teleport to it and click go, you will be there in just a few seconds. It unsuspends it, swaps it off of disk, brings it into memory, and runs it from the next tick mark onward. So it's extremely powerful. We've run, an interesting stat was one gentleman took an Apple M1, which is a 4-core Apple piece of silicon that emulates the Intel instruction set. And on it, he booted 300 regions in 8 gigs of RAM and got instantaneous access to all 3 of them. That's kind of amazing. I myself have run as much as 23 megabytes, or excuse me, gigabytes in a 8 gigabyte, rather wimpy PC. So this is a very interesting development in the future and allow you to run many, many regions. Speaking of those regions, we've got a lot of help on them. There's now 70 plus help manuals. There's a big PDF manual. It's all synchronized with the Outworlds website now. These are open source on GitHub, so if you want to contribute, you can download them, edit them, change them, and then ask me to merge them in. They are automatically synced. What I basically do is run one document, it loads all the others, I save it as a PDF, and then it automatically merges them into the Outworlds website. The Outworlds website, in turn, supports 134 different translations to basically every manual that you can, language that you can ask. Also, something that I've continue to pursue, there are over 30 different languages in the graphical user interface in Dreamgrid. So I frequently see German, Portuguese, and other speakers using the system when I remote in to help. That's very encouraging that there's so many. There's now 232 free ores. I have probably 70 more of them to go. Now, we started with about 15. We rapidly grew to about 60 over the last 5 years. We're now at 232. They are being reviewed and monitored and received, moderated by Marina Monentes. Hi, Marianne, I see you over there in the audience. They've cost several tens of thousands of dollars just in the last year alone to get exclusive licensing agreements to them, which means they belong to us now. I have open sourced them all, And what I've added is the ability at the top to search for them by date and time or type, or you can just type in names or phrases or sizes like 2x2 or 3x3 or any of the names that are in them, as well as through some of the manuals, the license agreements. So you can look for certain license agreements as well. That's very nice. There's also a builder we've had for some time that automatically will load all 232 into your system all at one time if you've got the RAM or you've been running smart boot mode. So I think that's quite amazing. We've got about 70 more to come too, by the way. Now let me talk about this statistics right here. I told you I'd do a little statistics. I find this particular thing is amazing. Now Maria over at Hypergrid Business is always publishing stats about how this thing works. So I just wanted to give you the summary. I ran a query this morning and updated it. There are now 8,519 OpenSim full grids that have been tracked over the last 4 or 5 years. I have a web crawler that crawls them. There are currently 527, I'll call them other grids. Those are the big grids, non-dream grids. How many dream grids there are, you can subtract the two and get an idea. But most of them, they use them for a while, they change their names, they move on. But these are unique grids. This year alone, we've had 1,957 dream grids running. They range from a single sim up to about 330 regions. There's quite a few rather large ones, and some are in Marina's top 5 and top 10, 20 list that she produces. That's 65,000 Second Life equivalent grids if you count them as VARs. And at SL prices, you have to pay $229 a month per each one of those little VAR regions, which would be about $15 million in tier a year. But you've also got to buy the region. And of course, in Dreamgrid, they're all free. So the one-time setup fee is $349. When I was there, it was $500. But anyway, it's gotten cheaper. I guess they have to. That'd be another almost $23 million just in the first year alone, which totals $203 million in tier last year alone. So some of you guys need to buy me a beer sometime, okay? I find that to be an amazing statistic. That's a lot of money that we've taken away from the small grid, because we're about 10 times the size at least of them now as far as regions are concerned. So they're not the big grid anymore when it comes to space. They're just not. And I don't count the number of OS grid or other big grids regions in this list. That's just the regions that we're using. So that's a lot. So I've got a few other things coming up. There is stuff I'm just releasing probably this weekend. Y'all know about 360 Viewer. That's where you can go in. You have to right-click in Firestorm your buttons, show all the buttons, and drag the 360 Viewer up onto your screen. And then when you click it, you can make these high-resolution photographs. If anybody wants to see one, you can go to right now, Outworlds, Outworlds with a Z, .com/VR. There is a script and a folder. What you do is you take a picture, you point it at that folder in your dream grid, and it automatically builds you a virtual reality 360 view you can scan around and zoom at. It's pretty cool. You can also, it has code in there. I'm still working on the manuals, by the way, so after the show, if you want to come by my booth here and take a look at and talk to me about it, there's iframes you can use to put it on WordPress, like the previous presentation, or Joomla, or your own blog, or whatever. That's pretty nice. It's outworlds. Thank you, Lear. That's the correct link. I appreciate that. I'm working currently on OpenSim as a service. OpenSim and Dreamgrid are not the same thing. Dreamgrid sets it up, runs it, monitors, stops it, starts it, does all these things. But once you've started it, you don't need it anymore. You can just go file, quit now, and Dreamgrid goes away, and OpenSim continues to work as normal. Those are going to be pushed into a service, which is like a background task. So if your server crashes and boots up and you've set it up right, it will just start your robust and then run through all the regions. Then if you want to control it or change it or start it or stop it or work on it or load an OR, just start the GUI. It reattaches like it does right now. You can actually do this now, just exit and start. And it will hook onto the system and monitor it again. It tracks the events and shutdowns and starts. So OpenSim as a service will be really cool because that's one of the major problems because Windows updates pretty often and your machine stops. The endless land and sea option is where it creates water to fill in between your regions so you can sail endlessly. I'm working on endless roads, also a mesh tree planter to get rid of the linden plants that it can plant. The endless roads, Alara S has been working on trains. I hope to set that up to where we can make endless trains. Basically, it's a set of regions that have an N, an E, an S, and a W in them. It allows you to travel north, east, south, or west on roads that run continuously forever. Ubud Umarov says the region should be about the size of the United States when we're done, and you can just travel endlessly. Joomla, yeah, we have tree, glass, and plants, everything like that already, Austin. I'm still waiting for you, AI, to give a speech on how to tie AI in, which I'm also showing at the end of the this presentation. And then, of course, I've still got to fix the dang classified ads. So I'm starting to run out of time here. Let me see here. We've got another minute or two for questions and such. But before I do that, I have 4 of the regions set up over here at OSCC Expo Zone 6. If you look on your map, it's the 3rd one at the top from the left, I believe. This is examples of 4 of the free sims along with PowerPoint slides. A very nice talking Caesar that has an animated face using WebGL technology, which works in OpenSim now. We've also got all this region is free as well, so you can take the NPCs, you can have your nice little I've got a little cute little, what do you call it? It's a dung beetle over there that's kind of fun to play with. And then I'm just going to be over here at upper right-hand corner. I think it is. That's the upper left one. OSCC 3, excuse me. I'm kind of confused. 6 is to the right. This is 3. And I'll be in booth 23. It's just at the entrance. You make a right turn. And I'll be over there for the next hour or so to answer any questions. Okay, well, thank you very much. Any questions you want to type in?
Yeah, I've got a couple questions saved for you, Fred. Here's one from Olive Tree. If she creates regions on her computer using Dreamgrid system, can she still link them to the OS grid?
Yes, you can. You can switch to either of 3 modes, which allows you to be a standalone grid. You boot up in a standalone grid, then you can change it to OS grid mode. You'll have to create your regions and type in the correct coordinates for OS grid to use them, and it should just automatically connect to OS grid and add the region when you start your grid up. You'll have to log into OS grid, and you can have as many regions as you want there, and Dreamgrid will maintain them. The other mode, the 3rd mode, is for you to connect to any arbitrary grid. It takes perhaps 1 or 2 other little things you have to type in. Depends on whether you're running on your LAN to LAN or LAN to grid externally. But there's nothing to stop you from allowing people to connect to your grid using Dreamgrid, your grid to grid, in other words, to build I think Dreamgrid is just a grid of grids, to be honest with you. But yes, the answer is yes, you can certainly do that.
Okay, great. Thanks. I have another quick question from Snootswagon, asking you to perhaps repeat what you said about Windows auto updates. Is that because it's a service that you were talking about?
Yeah, Windows has this nasty habit of just announcing, well, I'm shutting down and rebooting, and you wake up in the morning and you don't see your Dreamgrid running. I put alerts on mine through various free services and have to log in, sometimes weekly, monthly. I run a very advanced form of Windows, so sometimes it's even daily. It's a real pain. And so you have to manually log in, and click start. It's 1 click if you've got it set right to start it up again. So running it as a service will allow you in the future to just start OpenSim up when the machine boots. You won't see the DOS boxes. They'll be hidden away. You'll still be able to chat with them. You can talk to them, connect to them, and Dreamgrid control them. I've started to work on that. I've done this many times over the last 15 years at work. So it's not that hard. It's just kind of tricky.
Okay. I think we have time for one more question. Art Blue has a question. Looks like it's about creating avatars as a Dreamgrid client. Are they born as system avatars, looking like, I think this is looking like a being of 2009? Is that the read
Okay.
that you're talking about?
We're stock OpenSim, so we get whatever OpenSim delivers with a few mods. It's rather easy to add new ones. AI Austin has a good article about it. Basically, what you'll do is you create avatars called male avatar, female avatar, and neutral avatar. You cannot use any system clothing. You have to copy it and put it into your inventory. You can use mesh clothing, whether you build the avatar up the way you want. This is important. You take it all off, you put it on again, and now that you have a male avatar, when someone selects male in the menu to log in, they will now be that person. I would check at AI Austin's blog. He has some really good stuff. I don't have it at the tip of my fingers. I think he's here.
Okay.
You might ask him to send you a link. AI, if you're listening, maybe you could find that link for us for your how to do it.
Okay.
And then I see one quick one. Nara, it's WebGL is now supported automatically. You'll need to, well, WebGL is just the technology that we now support. If you have WebGL, you can put it up in Media on-prem. It's that easy. You just got to know how WebGL works.
Okay. Well, we are out of time. Thank you so much, Fred, for an informative and interesting presentation. As a reminder to our audience, you will want to check out conference.opensimulator.org to see what is coming up on the conference schedule. You won't want to miss our next session, which will begin after the break at 12:30 in this keynote region and is entitled Open Metaverse Panel. Also, we encourage you to visit the OSCC 22 Poster Expo in the OSCC Expo 3 region to find accompanying information on presentations and explore the hypergrid resources in OSCC Expo 2 region, along with sponsor and crowdfunder booths located throughout all of the OSCC Expo regions. Thank you again to our speaker and the audience.